So let's go over this spread here. First of all, we do have the Lovers as well as the Two of Wands. Now, both of these cards are relationship cards, okay? Heavy relationship cards. The Two of Wands is a partnership card. And the Two of Wands usually shows up, for me, in this deck as a long-distance relationship. There's either some type of like physical, geographical distance between you and another person, all right? And I definitely feel if you are in a long-distance relationship, it's, absence makes the heart grow fonder. But I also feel like as a Gemini, and most Geminis, the energy for the Gemini people overall is coming through. And now you're the sign of the twins. And a lot of you go through life with a very, very, I would say, idealistic sense of love and commitment, okay? Idealistic is not always bad. But what I'm getting here is this. I feel that you have somebody in your midst that you have a very strong, physical, emotional connection with. This is a very strong indicator of a karmic relationship as well. And the purple indicates, heightened awareness to me, and the blue indicates spirituality. It indicates like an old soul. It indicates like almost like a soulmate connection where you both are meant to meet each other and to grow and to learn a lot from one another. So overall, it's a very, very good combination. But, most soulmate connections and most karmic relationships tend to be a little bit difficult where, you have the male and the female, the dichotomy between our essence and their essence. So meaning that you both are very, very different. And I feel like it might even show up in a way where one person is really tall, the other person is very petite. Different races, I'm feeling that. Different family upbringings, different expectations out of relationships, and just very different viewpoints. Okay, that's what I'm sensing here. So when I mentioned that, the idealistic sense in a relationship, what I mean is that a lot of the times, like you get into, you idealize relationships. You feel that it's almost like you're born looking for your other half. That's what it feels like to me, because you're represented by the twins. So I feel like a part of you is always craving, missing that other part of yourself. So you go through you go through life automatically looking for, your missing part. And a lot of the times you might project, these very idealistic qualities onto your partner. And you want to be careful about doing that because they're not supposed, your partner's not supposed to be like you. I feel that we learn a lot from people who are opposite from us, and especially who do things differently from us. Otherwise, we don't really grow. Otherwise, the relationship stagnates as well. And if you're too similar, that can also be detrimental as well. So it's sort of like we grow through oppositions, right? Conflict and opposition helps us shape our character. Hardships build character, like they say. So I feel like you might aim for, in the past, like some of you might aim for relationships that were built on like harmony, on nicety. It was built on the facade. It was built on, like this veneer. But I feel that what your soul is really longing for is a relationship where you both can grow together as a unit. Okay, so I feel that if it sounds familiar, a lot of you are shedding these idealistic expectations. A lot of you are coming to this whole maturation process that, I do want a relationship that helps me grow. And if you're stagnating in your current relationship, you're not going to grow anymore, okay? And I know that's a very long-winded, kind of tangential message, but I'm getting a lot of messages with this card, and it's basically your card, your representation coming out in the very, very beginning of the spread. And another sense that idealism can play out here is absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I feel like you might be with somebody and the magnetic attraction is very, very great, but then it's so hard for you to work together as a unit. And as a result of it, you break up. And then once you break up, you start missing them, and then vice versa. You could be dealing with somebody like this who's like, a little bit kind of, I feel like they emotionally a little bit stunted, okay? So like when you're there, they don't miss you, but when you're gone, they keep trying to reel you back in. So I feel that your expectations of what you want a relationship and versus the reality of the relationships that you keep finding yourselves in, these things need to match up, right? So going through a process of reexamination is going to be important for you, because I feel like you need to break these habits or these tendencies to, want one thing, but then it's sort of like looking for love in the wrong people, in the wrong places. So just be careful about that, okay? Now, going back to these two cards as an energy that I'm getting, it's sort of like, wanting, longing for this perfect, idealistic union with another person. And we can get a little bit too tunnel vision, a little bit too fixated, okay? And then on the other hand, I feel like a lot of you might be in a long distance relationship, mainly because the Two of Wands indicates it's a relationship card, but there's only one person depicted in the spread, and they're longing, they're looking at the world, and they're, wanting that opportunity to reunite with their other half. So I feel like a lot of you are starting out this month feeling very hopeful and possibly very in love. But I'm going to do your love reading in a little bit. This is what I'm sensing, okay? Some of you might be in a work type of a business partnership too. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of talks about where this relationship or this work partnership is going. There's going to be discussions to balance out the responsibilities, such as, who needs to do what. And I feel like innately there are some imbalances here. It seems as if you might be in a relationship or in a work committed partnership, and one person seems to be doing all the work, and there are going to be some grievances that comes up for this month, and you might need to like physically sit down and have a conversation with another person, okay? So that's coming through. The next two cards indicate here is the Emperor and the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups, first of all, this is a wish card, and the Nine of Cups indicates like a state of emotional fulfillment, okay? So something that you've been longing for, that you've been eyeing, is basically made available to you. It's on the offing for you, and the opportunity is going to be really great. I feel for a lot of you, you might have wanted a job that involves a lot of travel, because I'm getting the energy of the world, the globe here, and it came up twice already. First with the Two of Wands here, the world, and then second with the Emperor. And then others of you might be, I feel like you might see somebody in your environment that you really, really admire, like a person in a position of authority that you really look up to. And I definitely feel there's going to be some breakthrough where you get to talk to them. It can be a romantic partner or somebody that you're crushing on, or it just can be somebody in a position of authority. So you might be invited to some functions, like some dinner, something where food and wine, I feel it's like overflowing. And you're going to be in the presence of really, really renowned people. And they're going to give you like quite a lot of good insights, okay? So I do sense that coming through. And on the other hand, for others of you, I feel like it can play out in this way, in which if you've been eyeing for something, you've been working really, really hard on to procure a client, to secure a job. I definitely feel a lot of blessings coming through. Due to your diligence and your hard work and your power of persuasion, you might be thrust into a position of authority as well. So this means, landing that corner office, somebody giving you some perk at work, such as that really beautiful office, such as landing a new assistant, such as like getting some type of, I feel like approval and recognition, but it's very like off the books, you know. So like a promotion, for example, is something that is getting recognition on the books. However, this is more like getting some type of approval or something like that, off the book. Okay, it still makes you feel really good because you're not one to care about, you know, the spotlight so much. You do your work, but I feel like you're getting some type of off the books praise, recognition. And I do feel for a lot of you, it's on the professional front where you are handed projects. For others, I do sense like you're talking, you're giving a speech or something like that in front of a group of people. So you're thrust in the limelight and you might have to think on the spot. You might be making a toast at a wedding, but I feel more like a speaking engagement where you're receiving something, possibly like a diploma, possibly like a trophy or something like that, where someone who is very, very knowledgeable in their field is giving you recognition for something as well. And that can also be public, okay? The next two cards that are here is the Eight of Cups as well as the Queen of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, let's talk about this first. This is shown up here as a fire sign. So a Sagittarius, a Leo, or an Aries. Let me see other indicators here. So Sagittarius, Leo, or an Aries. What I do feel with this Queen of Wands here is for some of you, this can be male or female, Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries. This is somebody that you might be romantically involved with, or it's somebody that you could be married to, but I do, or in a business partnership with, okay? And I feel almost as if the relationship, if it's personal or if it's business, it seems to me like it's very, very unbalanced for some reason, okay? I feel like it's, there's a lot of luck coming through. They might be a catalyst for you to make a lot of money, or they might, you know, as a couple, the image, you know, the public image, it seems really, really good. I feel that way. Like you both like look really good together, or you both like complement each other really well. But I feel the emotional aspect within this relationship, I feel like it might be lacking. And you might not have like a common vision. And overall, I feel like there might be a sense of emotional estrangement within this relationship, okay? Which brings me to the next card. And I feel like they're a very nurturing, caring person overall. But I feel like, you know, if you're an air sign and they're a fire sign, it's a really dynamic relationship. It can be really good as professional contacts and as in a professional way. But in terms of like getting to the root of the emotional state, I feel like the emotions might be lacking. Which brings us to the next card, which is the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is a situation that we have invested a lot of our time, resources, and energy, and also a lot of our emotions in. And in this situation with the Eight of Cups, it indicates like removing ourselves from a situation that is no longer emotionally satisfying or fulfilling for us in order to chart out new territory, in order to find something else, okay? I feel like a lot of you are following your heart, following your intuition, and you're at a point where you can't lie to yourself anymore. You can't just say, you can't go through the motions anymore and just say, oh, this job is, you know, average. I'm just going to do it for another 5 months or whatever. I feel like you're at that state where you want that emotional fulfillment. You want to feel, you want your other half almost. It feels like you feel kind of incomplete in some ways and on the emotional front, and you're going to have to like venture out into the world in order to find something new or in order to find whatever it is, okay? I also feel for some of you, you might have been dwelling, if you're single, you might have been dwelling on a situation like a secret crush, unrequited love, or something like that. I see that, and I feel like you are no longer keeping yourself hostage. You're going to venture forth and find your own happiness, find the person that is meant for you, because you are coming to the realization that whoever that you were dwelling on, it wasn't the right person because they never came forward, okay? So it seems to me like a lot of regrets and a lot of disappointment associated with this card as well. Now, he's heading in this direction towards where the moon is lit, right? And that brings us to the next card here with the moon. So the moon indicates a situation that didn't have very much closure for you. The moon is a really foggy, wavy type of a card. It can indicate spiritual, like psychic abilities, spiritual enhancements in spirituality, our intuition, kind of being heightened for this month overall. But in this spread, what I'm getting here is that a lot of you are in a situation where you just didn't have all the answers and you stayed and stayed and stayed around waiting for that, major awakening to come through, major breakthrough to come through. And I feel like you kept yourself hostage at this, anticlimactic, in this anticlimactic situation. And you weren't progressing anywhere. And you felt right now for this month, you feel as if you've kept yourself back. You kept yourself from achieving your soul's desire from your true love. So this could even mean, being in a work environment where people verbally, they say that, oh, you did a really good job, but they never gave you a raise. They never publicly acknowledged you. Does that make sense? So I feel like they gave you enough. They fed you scraps and things like that. And they gave you, praises. But the work that you're doing, I feel like you might not have been, you feel like you went through the motions, but it wasn't enough, okay? And you wanted, that pay increase. You wanted, they promised you the world and they didn't deliver. And then others dwelling on a past partner who might have flirted with you, but, never followed through. But I feel like there's some sense of like major awakening where you might realize that I need to move on and I need to find something better for me and I need to take better care of myself and I need to keep my vision clearer and I need to not settle. So I definitely see you kind of like taking charge of your life. The energy that you're bringing to the table is actually very, very like fiery for this month, where you are less tolerant with people and who are all about the talk and they have no actions to follow up with. Okay, so I feel like you're not as tolerant of this as other months. That's what I'm sensing. So with this moon card, it's going back to what I mentioned earlier about a situation that was a little bit fuzzy. You couldn't let it go because you didn't have the closure. You didn't have the full picture. You didn't get any type of concrete evidence, but you know that you can't really hang on to it anymore, mainly because you were racking your brains trying to figure it out and it exhausted you. So I feel like you released. And I feel in the process of releasing, if you have already released it beginning of the month, you're going to come across some vital information that will give you, bits and pieces that you can put together to form that big picture that you've been wanting. You might have told yourself that, I just want to get closure and clarity. I just want clarity so I can move on. If I get the clarity that I need, then I can totally move on. And I feel like that's what's going to happen for you guys this month. It's linked up here with the Temperance card. And the Temperance card deals with moderation. It deals with like doing things in a very systematic manner, in a very careful manner. Okay, so it means like weighing things out, weighing out your options very, very carefully and very, very methodically. It's also about not jumping the gun. It's also about like not overindulging, okay? So I feel for some of you, you might be dealing with some disappointment in the past. And when this card comes out, it basically means, self-care, taking care of yourself, respecting your body, and be very careful about what you ingest and what you put into your body, okay? So the moon card with the temperance card. And this is something, this is a complaint that I've gotten over the past few months about, whenever I do a reading for Geminis, I do see a lot of drinking. Okay, I do see that for the past 3 months, and it does worry me. But I don't change the messages that come out. I just relay the information. So this is something that I'm seeing once again. The moon is also a card about mild depression. The temperance card deals with, overindulging in drinking. So I'm sensing that for some of you, you might be dealing with this situation where it's like mild depression. Your emotional state is very, very up and down. Now, the Gemini symbol is the twins, and there's a lot of that energy about split personality. What you feel versus what you do in real life don't line up. Okay, so on the one hand, you might say that I need closure so that I can move on, and then when the closure comes, you regress or you backtrack. So be very, very careful about the tendency to be careful what you wish for, and when your wishes or when your whatever you wish for comes to fruition, you need to follow through on your end. So, for example, if you say that I just want some closure, I want some clarity, I want the big picture. And when you finally get the big picture, how are you going to react? How are you going to deal with this information? You need to follow through on your end of the bargain. I hope that makes sense, okay? So that's what I'm feeling here with this spread. Now, in terms of your advice, we do have some things here. One of the things that I'm sensing very, very strongly here is that a lot of you need to, figure out what it is that your soul is really searching for, okay? Because I feel a little bit of losing a sense of direction, losing your footing, trying to test out different waters, and trying to find that perfect fit for yourself. This is professionally, this is emotionally, this is pertaining to, where do I want to live? So the energy here is very, very up in the air. It's very uncertain, but the uncertainty is not always bad. People, I feel like a lot of you might be frustrated with the uncertainty, but the way that I'm looking at it, uncertainty is actually a very exciting time in life. So one of the things that they want to emphasize here is that don't look at what other people are doing. This is kind of like looking on to a specific situation. Don't look at what other people are doing. Find something that is unique to you. Find something that makes you really, really happy. And find something that taps into your skills, that utilizes, all that you have to offer. Not just, don't just get a job. Like, for example, if you graduated as a computer science major, find a job. You want to, get out into the world and find a job that is computer science related. And you feel like that's it. I feel that, as a holistic person, you want something that is creatively you and that is unique to you. So maybe there are other jobs where you can utilize your computer science degree, but doing something completely different. Rather than working with computers, you might do something different. You might do teaching, for example. So find something that is unique to you and don't compare yourself to what your peers or the people in your environment are doing. Because I feel like that whole process, can give us a false sense of security when we are looking at somebody who's really, really successful and we emulate in their footsteps. At the end of that journey, you're going to realize that, you wasted time doing something, replicating something. It has already been done before, but realize that it might not be for you. So a lot of you are kind of drifting when it comes to, temperature taking regarding your career, your relationships, and, figuring out where you want to be geographically. That's what I'm sensing. So in terms of your advice, We have here the devil, which indicates temptation. Once again, it indicates overindulgence, drinking and smoking and, being addicted to things. A lot of the time, this can be an addiction to a person as well. What I'm feeling here is a lot of you are dwelling on a situation. You waited. And there's this emotional up and down. Like when they call, you're on top of the world. When they're not there, your world is kind of like flopping. So don't measure or don't tie your emotional state in with another person. Does that make sense? So it means like don't peg your emotional state, your emotional happiness on another person, and especially don't rely on them to bring you that emotional high. Okay, you have to be stable within yourself. So this is coming in as a reminder that there is something in your environment that you are heavily dependent upon that might not be good for you. So whatever it is that you're depending on that situation for, be it the rush, be it that emotional roller coaster, that emotional high, you want to reassess. And I feel like it can be, damaging for you long term emotionally or even physically. So even like if you've been drinking a lot or if you've been putting a lot of stress and strain on your body and not exerting any type of moderation, then I feel like you're going to start to feel the wear and tear and you're going to start to feel it, okay? So just be careful about this, all right, Geminis? The second card coming through is the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is a situation that deals with the home. It's a marriage situation. It's also a situation where I feel like a relationship is being taken to the next level, okay? So first of all, I do feel that somebody is being granted a title here with the Empress. And this can also indicate like pregnancy, fertility. That's coming in very strongly with this spread. So be careful about that, okay? Especially, just be careful about that. Like, if you're not planning for it, and especially for those of you who are trying, the energy is very, very good. Where we have the Four of Wands, which indicates a stable home life, and we have the Empress, which indicates like a very, very strong, maternal figure. What I'm also getting is for some of you, you honestly might be lusting after somebody who is already in a committed relationship. Whether or not they're happy, that's not, that doesn't even matter. So whether or not they're happy in a relationship, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even factor into the equation. If you know somebody is, involved, you leave them alone because that can create a lot of energy interference from your end or for you. And that can also disrupt somebody else's karmic relationship, okay? So karma is between people. And if it's not you, then you want to remove yourself from it because it can create a lot of, I would say like a lot of energy interference where you might not get the things that you want in your life, okay? So just be careful about that. So I do feel a very, very heavy energy here of lusting after somebody who might not be available. I do see some temptation, and I do feel like others of you, I do see trying on a wedding dress. So you might have been you might have been proposed to, and this is the month in which, the wedding takes place. I do see some nice venues, and I do see like very extravagant dresses and venues that are decorated and things like that. So I do sense some of you might be getting married, might be like transitioning, changing your names, okay? So a lot of good energies coming through on the relationship front as well.